Hello, hello, it's Matthew Holt. Here's the QCOM MS3 vlog series. This is week one of the pediatric edition, and I'm on my very first week of the pediatric clerkship here at Quillen College of Medicine, and I'm loving it actually. It's been a great rotation so far. I'll basically give you a little rundown of how it's been, and then I'll tell you where we're going from here, and that'll be it for this week. I kind of fell off the way there during the OB rotation. I was making the vlogs, every week, and then I did the week of night shift, and I was just kind of like, what, huh? And so we've got to pick it back up for pediatrics. Hopefully I'll get a video out every week. And I'm encouraged to be on a new rotation. I'm actually really enjoying it. This first week I was in newborn nursery, which is down at the labor and delivery unit, where I was hanging out during OB, and then I'm also in clinic this week. So the pediatric clinic is over at ETSU Physicians across from Johnson City Medical Center. We're on the bottom floor. They're doing some renovations, but it's basically a pretty cool layout. I like the rooms. They're really colorful for the kids. It's really sweet. And then, of course, labor and delivery, it's the same kind of dim lit hallway where all the moms are having babies. And so I'll just give you a little bit of a spill about what it's been like this week, starting from day one. We had to be there at like 7:15 a.m. Our clerkship director met with us, basically went through how to do an H&P, all the things you should have on your mind for pediatrics. We had our schedules given out, kind of lay of the land. Here's what it's going to look like. And then off we went to clinic, and it was a lot of fun. I really love the residents. The residents are great. I haven't met anybody with a bad attitude yet, and that's always a positive. Everyone's open to helping me learn. They want to see me do well, and they've got a good sense of humor as well, so that's always a plus. So anyways, the way this week works, because we're on a 5-week clerkship instead of a 6, I think they've combined the clinic week and the newborn nursery week. So we do a full day in clinic on Monday and Tuesday. Of course, Monday was our orientation. So Monday morning we did orientation, did a half day in clinic. Tuesday was a full day in clinic. And then the next 3 days, you do a half day in newborn nursery and the other half day in clinic. On Wednesdays in the afternoons, we have our didactics. So we basically just go to lectures. Sometimes the professors, doctors, residents teach, and they also have a grand rounds. This past Wednesday, it was cool. I got to hear from a Major League Baseball player. He played for the Minnesota Twins, and he was also pretty cool guy. When he was drafted, actually, the Elizabethton Twins won their league's World Series that year, and that was the other team. So he got sent to the other team. So he was like, man, if I could have ended up in Elizabethton, I'd have been all right that year. But he went to medical school after that, and he's really interested in dental care. So he talked to us a lot about pediatric dentistry, and I actually didn't realize how much your pediatrician can get involved in dental care. We can do fluoride treatments, all different kinds of things to help out with prevention, dental caries. And there's the traumas. We learned a whole lot about subluxation, where you get your tooth kind of knocked loose. Funny thing, if you get a tooth knocked out, you're supposed to put the tooth back in. That is the best place for the tooth to go. Or you can put it in milk. Don't want to put it in water or juice or anything like that. So it's cool learning, great lectures this week. So what does the clinic look like? What does the experience in clinic look like? So basically, there's a resident room with like 4 computers and an attending computer, and the residents have what's called continuity clinic. So they get to follow their own panel of patients from the day that they start, and they go there every week for that same panel of patients. And then in that, we just kind of hang out. We can jump on with a resident, go in the room with them, see the patient with them. And then if you're lucky, you can get on a day where there's just one of the attendings that has a clinic that day. So I got to work with Dr. D.O.D.D., Dr. Dodd. I got to work with him 2 times this week, and he's really great. I've had some great experiences at clinic where the attending will just set me free, go see the patient, find out what's going on, and then come back and report, and we'll go see them together, make sure you didn't miss anything. And pediatrics has been really encouraging. I've got to do well child checkups for, anywhere from like 2-month-olds to 12-year-olds. I've seen a 17-year-old girl who's had pharyngitis, a cross-country runner. I've seen 1-month-olds for their well child check. The cool thing is we get to give them a book. So they've got all these books. Read and Play is kind of the branding on it. And so we basically encourage all mothers, all families to read with their children, and we'll give the child the book. Like if there's a kid that's like not eating vegetables and fruits, not into that stuff, we've got a book for that. And it basically goes through all the different types of veggies and the colors, and you tell them, we want you to eat different foods for each color of the rainbow, and the kids are like, yeah, let's do it. And then you always go. I had a little 5-year-old with a concussion. His brother was in there, and they were just going at it, just having a real good time, and a lot of fun. Pediatrics so far has been everything I dreamed of being more, especially in clinic, and especially getting to work with all the great residents. I got to work with my boy Victor. He was a QCOM grad. I actually met him my first year, and now he's a second-year pediatric resident. Got to work with him. My boy Dr. Suki, he's an intern. I worked with him in the newborn nursery. And also MS3, Morgan, got to work with her. She's super sweet. Enjoyed getting to get to know her better and see patients. We would have to show up around 6 a.m. at the newborn nursery for rounds. So we would show up. We get to go with the intern, Dr. Suki, and we go it's the labor and delivery hall, right? So all the mothers that just had the babies are still hanging out in their rooms. The mother might have been discharged from the service, but the baby is still there. And so we'll go in and see the baby, see how it's doing. I learned the newborn exam, just checking all the reflexes. You got the Moro reflex. If you lean them back, they throw their arms out. If you've got the different Palmer grasp reflexes, we've got all these different things you test, and feel its little belly. It's so sweet, so sweet. Babies, I just love them. I hadn't had this much of an experience with babies my whole life until today. Well, not today, until this past week. I got it today too. Today was my last day in newborn nursery. It's crazy to think we only get 3 mornings in newborn nursery. And by the time you get used to it and figure out what you're going to do, off to the next thing. But hey, that's the nature of the beast. This is the 3rd year of medical school. You're doing everything till you slightly feel comfortable with it, and then you get to go do something else. So keeping you on your toes, lots of fun. Next week, I have sort of the night shift, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's going to be all right. Looking forward to doing that next week, and I'll tell you all about it. Otherwise, just patient stories. There's so many cool patient stories. Anything from perfectly healthy newborn, slightly jaundiced. That's a normal thing for newborns. To like the baby that's withdrawing from drugs. They just kind of shake. It's so sad, and they've got a really high-pitched cry. So the things that go along with that, just watching them, there's an NAS score that we can do. And then also this week I got to see another delivery, a C-section delivery, and got the baby right out and got to kind of go through the APGAR scoring system. I don't know if you know what APGAR is, but it's basically you assign a number 0 through 2 for 5 different categories when a baby is first born. We'll see if I can remember the categories. You've got the heart rate. So if the heart rate's 100 or above, that's a 1, or a 2 if it's at 100. You've got the respirations. So are they breathing like really well, or are they kind of like coughing or maybe not breathing? So you get a 2 if you're breathing really well. You've got the color. So is the baby blue? I didn't know this until OB-GYN, when the first baby I saw delivered came out blue. I didn't realize that's a real thing, and it's a normal thing. They're not Smurfs. They turn red really quickly. And so if they turn red really quickly, you give them a 2. So, there's all these different things that we look for. There's tone, the tone, is it flaccid arms, or is it kind of like, yes, I'm a baby. I just got born. I'm jumping into life, taking it by the throat, whatever. So just babies, they thrive. Children, they thrive. And sometimes they don't. And that's why we're here to help them through it. But in general, they get sick and they get better. That was one of the things that the residents talked with us about. Like, we love pediatrics because it's nothing like seeing a kid that comes in so ill and then they just get better. So cool. So there's all these different aspects to it, and I'm going to learn even more about that over the next few weeks. I love hearing why the doctors that are doing the specialty that I'm in, why they decided to go into that. So I'm looking forward to hearing the stories of all the residents. I got to work with Dr. Sketsina, who actually was my preceptor for rural track the past 2 years. And it's been really fun to see her in clinic and see how well she cares for her patients. And, I normally got to be with her in the context of kind of community outreach and lectures and things like that. But it's really sweet to see her in her environment where she's taking care of the babies. At the hospital, got to work with Dr. Toole, got to work with all these great attendings, Dr. Miller. We had to tour our child advocacy center downtown. It's pretty cool. I didn't even know that sort of place existed. So in pediatrics, you have to deal with trauma as well. So, abuse, you have to get child protective services involved on occasion. And the child advocacy center in your community is the place to go. For resources, the place to go. If you expect any kind of abuse, you're required to report it in the state of Tennessee as a physician. If you don't report it, you're in trouble. So if you have any reasonable concern as to why a child might come in with a random broken fractured bone or like bruises on the abdominal trunk area that's like unusual for kids to get bruises there, if you have any suspicion, you have to report it, and there's a hotline you call. So we got taught about that, and it was great. Just this whole week was great. All the teaching, all the learning, being in clinic, being in the newborn nursery, rounding with the doctors and physicians, seeing a few of my classmates that were on OB-GYN, and going to the lectures, being around all the great pediatric residents. It's really been an excellent week, and I hope that you'll join me next week for week 2. See you then.